Hello, everybody. You're back with me, Ian Kane, and a huge welcome to this week's installment of DappRadar Meets. The date is Wednesday, April 27th. A massive hello to all you wonderful listeners, and thanks for tuning in for another episode of DappRadar Meets. If you don't know already, DappRadar is the world's leader in Dapp analytics and discovery. We track thousands of dApps across more than 30 blockchains. And also, our portfolio manager is pretty damn useful. It lets you manage your crypto and NFT assets all in one place. We're also proud to be the official data provider of media outlets like CoinDesk, Cointelegraph in the crypto world. But then in the normal world, as I call it, outlets such as Bloomberg and Wall Street. So we're kind of a big deal. And one of the really cool features that I actually use quite often with the portfolio manager, which you can access through the website, is that if you're like me and you trade quite a few different tokens, you can sometimes lose track of what you've got. I know that sounds a bit luxurious, but it can happen, even if it's small amounts of a small token. By inputting your wallet address into the portfolio manager, there's all your tokens, the ones you forgot about as well, and perhaps some DeFi staking things you could have forgotten about. So it's definitely worth a look. I'd say check it out. So, as I said, welcome everybody. As always, we'll be recording this session for people to catch up later. If you missed any of the previous shows, you can get them on YouTube. Just head over, search for DappRadar, and we've been putting a lot of time and effort into our video content of late, so please do go and check it out. But today, I'm really excited to welcome the co-founder and COO of Aavegotchi, Jessie J. So I'm just going to do a quick sound check just to make sure that I've got him here. See you there.
Hello, hello. Check 1, 2.
Awesome, we have you. Okay, cool, Jessie. Give me a few minutes. I'm just going to run through some admin and then we'll come back to it, okay? So, what's been going on this week in the world of dApps? It's Wednesday and already things have popped off in proper style. A couple of big things already this week to dissect for the editorial team. First, BAYC Metaverse, the other side, will drop their first NFTs this Saturday. We've prepared a full guide over on the blog, everything you need to do to get ready, so make sure you check that out. Because of that, the price of Apecoin has gone nuts, and it's risen by about 40% in the last 7 days, whereas the rest of the markets, I think Bitcoin's down by about 7, and a similar story for ETH as well. And because of that performance by Apecoin, they've actually flipped leading metaverse tokens such as Mana and Sand, and they are now sitting today 30th by market cap. Pretty impressive for a token that came out under a month ago. But meanwhile, controversy is never far behind celebration in the crypto space. To that end, on Monday, the Bored Ape Yacht Club was a victim of another hack. Hackers broke into their Instagram account and used a phishing scam to steal over $3 million worth of NFTs. I think it was 91 NFTs in total stolen, 4 BAYC, 7 MAYC, 3 BAKC, and 1 Clone X. So Yuga Labs immediately alerted the community and removed the links, but the damage was already done, I'm afraid. So what else has been happening away from that? MetaMask announced today a partnership with MoonPay, making it easier than ever to get fiat money into MetaMask. So you can now buy ETH using MoonPay. So it gives you much easier on-ramp into MetaMask. So make sure you update it if you use MetaMask. And also, MoonPay recently integrated into OpenSea, make it even easier for people to purchase NFTs. So it's clearly on a mission this year. At the same time, OpenSea on Monday this week, it announced its acquisition of the leading NFT aggregator Gem. This move comes as OpenSea jostles with LuxRare, really, for control of the secondary NFT marketplace landscape, as it were. And loads more, all happening on the DappRadar blog. Now, on to the main events. And as our regular listeners know, every week I sit down with the brightest minds, blockchains, dApps, and NFT collections to dig in and see what they're all about. Most importantly, I like to put human faces onto projects and give you guys, the audience, a chance to ask all those tricky questions. Just stick your hand up and I'll invite you on the stage, or alternatively, put your question in the main chat and Cornelia will do her best to get that over to me in time to ask it. But we really want you to join in. So if you can make it on stage, let's see you. And as always, as I always say, there's no such thing as a stupid question. Just don't ask it 5 times. So keep your ears open and make sure not to repeat other people's questions. Also today, the Avigachi team has provided us with some raffle tickets to give to each person who asks a question. These raffle tickets are pretty cool. They're NFTs that can be sold in the open market or kept and used in any of the upcoming NFT lotteries. And depending on which raffle you participate in, the ticket may win you an Aavegotchi, Gotchiverse land parcel, or even some exclusive wearables. So it's a pretty cool prize, definitely worth asking some questions, I would say, today. So before we dive in, Jessie, thank you for your patience. I'm just going to get everyone on the same page with Aavegotchi, and then we'll jump in and go deeper. So Aavegotchi is a DeFi-enabled crypto collectibles game developed by Singapore-based Pixelcraft Studios that allows players to stake NFTs as avatars with interest-generating tokens and interact with the Aavegotchi Metaverse. It's a unique combination of DeFi and NFTs and really showcases the two things coming together very nicely. So, okay, Jessie, let's jump in. Something we do at the start is something I call the elevator pitch. I want you to imagine you're stuck in an elevator with me. I know, I'm sorry. And we're in there for like a minute. And you've got a minute to kind of impress me about Aavegotchi, the Gotchiverse, tell me everything, and get me excited. So, no pressure, Jessie. Off you go.
No, that's perfect. I think it's time for the TLDR, right? So the short answer on what is Aavegotchi is a couple of things. They look and feel like maybe they're just another PFP project, but under the surface, these are super powerful explorations of what we can do with the smart contract standards that are available today. So we take advantage of all the different standards, the 721, the 1155s, and even the ERC 998. And what that is this is basically a way to have an Aavegotchi be your digital piggy bank. It can actually hold balances on chain of other ERC20 tokens, other NFTs, and that's why you're able to see your Aavegotchi change clothes and equip different game items. Those are actually NFTs being stacked on top of NFTs. And so it's a couple of things. Your Aavegotchi is your digital best friend. It's your digital piggy bank, and it is also your access to the Gotchiverse, which is this powerful upcoming kind of just released actually our take on what a metaverse should be. And it's as all things Aavegotchi, it's something that is very dedicated to running towards blockchain, embracing smart contracts and crypto, as opposed to something like maybe some of the other projects out there that go the other way, which is fine, where they try to abstract away the blockchain and you own these NFTs and you don't even know it's on a blockchain. We're the opposite. If you're interested in staking, bridging, interacting with different protocols, then Aavegotchi is the perfect medium to do all of that.
Nice. All right, Jessie, I'm pretty interested. I'd say you did quite a good job there. Okay, so we've got the top level overview of what we're going to be talking about today, and we will go much deeper on the Gotchiverse as well. As you said, it's just launched, so let's dive right in. But first, let's just start at the beginning with this a little bit. So let's talk about you a little bit, Jessie. You're the COO and co-founder of the project. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and how you've ended up in this, as I call it always, crazy blockchain world? Is this something native to you, or did you transition? What's your story?
Right. Yeah, I guess I've always been very creative and somewhat of an artist, a musician, and always thought of creating something new if possible. And so it made sense that I ended up in NFTs eventually. I think that's fair to say. I graduated from university back in 2008, right as the financial crisis was kind of hitting globally. And I was a business major at a liberal arts school. So kind of like nice balance there, right? And I was thinking, well, this is tricky. Like, I was a Southeast Asia major, a Southeast Asian minor in their studies program, and so I just said, well, the economy's in shambles right now. I'm gonna go back overseas and keep working on my Mandarin, and so I did that. I went overseas and ended up spending most of the next 10 years in mainland China, Singapore, Southeast Asia. And through that process, like it was pretty cool. I got to know from a very early time a lot of the early adopters of Bitcoin over there. So I was going to in real life meetups and talking about Bitcoin and actually dedicating some of my research to Bitcoin regulations. And then I, through that process, discovered smart contracts and Ethereum and ended up working for one of the oldest crypto exchanges there in mainland China. I think they're the second ever exchange in mainland China. and they've since rebranded. They're known as ZB Group now, but they were who I ended up really joining, quote unquote, the industry in a full-time capacity with. And so I was doing due diligence, listings, business development, and doing a lot of, conferencing and basically came to know a ton of projects through that process. And somewhere after about the second year, I started to meet a few projects. Now we're getting into like 2017, and I met a few projects that didn't have like cryptocurrencies to list on my exchange. And so it was always like, oh, well, let's have a conversation here. What do you guys do? And what's this NFT thing? So that was like the beginning of, I was fortunate enough to have NFTs on my radar very, very early on. And it immediately piqued my curiosity. And I thought this definitely is a fascinating new segment of the blockchain economy. I want to know more about it and understand it. And it wasn't long. Within the year, I had some crypto kitties, and I ended up leaving ZB to go full time and join Zach Burks over at Mintable, which was the platform you could go mint your own NFTs on. So I thought that was important. My kind of philosophy or like design principles, I'm always interested in working on something that helps blockchain adoption. And so Mintable just represented that in so many ways, because you didn't have to know how to code, and yet you could mint your own NFT for the first time. So I was like, yeah, I want to put my energy into something like that. And so that was where I got my start with NFTs. Probably toward the tail end of 2017, we moved to Singapore, joined the Long Hash Accelerator program, and the rest is history. He's got, Mark Cuban and a slew of other great investors that are working with him on that now. For myself, I moved on and went to start a project called BullionX. Again, looking for a way to make NFTs more understandable. And so people that always say, oh, it's just a JPEG. I wanted to address that. And so I built out a project called BullionX, where it literally was the first time we had a custom smart contract made where you could take some gold stable coins, ERC20s, and stake them into a particular NFT. So it was the beginning of this NFT as a piggy bank idea. And that was cool, because then you could say, no, this NFT literally has 5 grams of gold inside it. Like, this is not a JPEG. And that was the beginning of that. It was a great project. It's still live today. You can check it out. Beautiful 3D gold NFTs made in collaboration with a lot of the earliest OG crypto artists. But what we learned there and the lessons learned through that kind of 1-year building process got reapplied and iterated on with what became Aavegotchi. So instead of gold, let's do DeFi, yield generating tokens staked inside your Aavegotchi. And that was like far more exciting. And yeah, it's been really, really good.
It's a pretty interesting and varied story there, Jesse. Very cool. Interesting that you mentioned Zach at Mintable as well. I met him in Singapore. Very nice guy. The crazy background of his own, actually, if I'm sure you knew about from talking to him. Yeah, interesting. And obviously Southeast Asia and Asia became a bit of a hub around 17, 18. But like you say, you were luckily surrounded by the right kind of people at that time. So that's where you got to. So then if we fast forward a little, actually, I want to clear something up with you, Jesse, because I think there's a bit of confusion around, I guess it's to do with the brand name of Aavegotchi is now independent of Aave, right? It was to do with the funding at the start, but I think there's a bit of confusion there. So I just wanted you to nail this early doors. Is Aavegotchi part of the Aave family, or is it completely independent?
Perfect question. Yeah, I love to clear this one up. So kind of goes right off of what we were doing. We were building BullionX, and Coder Dan, my co-founder at Aavegotchi, he had just came from winning a Aave grant, part of an Aave sponsored hackathon. And so he was getting to know Stanny and the team at Aave. And he was like, what we're building and starting to play with, taking ERC cryptocurrencies and mixing them with NFTs. There's like a lot of potential there. We could do something like that with Aave. So that was actually Coder Dan making that introduction and getting us in the room together to kind of explore what we could do with a Aave-centric NFT project. And so, yes, the short answer is yes, completely independent, with the exception that they did, Aave came in at the very earliest round, initially giving us a 5K grant, very simple grant to get kind of the early concept art and start exploring that. And then the and then from there, they did do a friends and family round with Pixelcraft Studios, which is our main studio around Aavegotchi. So they do have a minority stake. Yep.
Okay, cool. That makes perfect sense now. All right. I bet you have to explain that quite often, actually, don't you, Jesse? Sorry. I just wanted to get that out the way at early doors,
It,
just so people are
it's
aware.
in the name. Yeah.
It's there, but it makes sense. So yeah, cool. Okay. And then another question that I have, and it's a bit of a personal one, really, but I'm old enough to remember Tamagotchis, and I don't know if you are. I'm guessing that you are, but they were like these little digital pets that you put on a key ring, and most owners ended up killing them by mistake or drowning them or doing something silly with them or whatever happened to them. And they kind of came and went, and they were super popular for an amount of time because they introduced a really new idea into an old medium, to be honest. But was Aavegotchi kind of influenced by Tamagotchi, or is it just like a tentative link? Like, can you talk about that at all?
Yeah, it was definitely more than just a gimmick or play for name recognition. There was an idea there that when we kind of started really brainstorming what Aavegotchi could be, even before I think we had the name, it was okay. We're going to expand on the digital piggy bank idea. Let's encourage savings. Stanley and the Aave team really liked the idea of a kind of anti-degen kind of emphasis, like lock up your savings. That's healthy. That's good. But there was another part, which is I'd mentioned I'd had some crypto kitties. These were my first ever NFTs. And they're very, very nice. I would use them very sparingly, though. I would only bring them out if I was trying to show somebody on my mobile phone what an NFT is, right? That was like the only time. And there's this whole subgenre of NFTs called crypto pets. And we just kind of had this insight where we were like, they're not really pets yet because there's no incentive to interact with them. And a pet is someone or something you should interact with pretty much daily and have some sort of relationship with. So one of the missions from the very get-go was how do we build a better crypto pet? And Tamagotchis are the epitome of a digital pet done right. So we wanted to take that on chain. We wanted to do crypto pets on the blockchain, and so it seemed appropriate, like to do Aavegotchi, and it kind of rolled off the tongue quite nicely.
It's a
So
great
that
name.
was yeah, and there's many ways we address that, but one that from the get-go kind of was the core principle was this idea of a kinship score. So you have a kinship score as one of the metadata with your Aavegotchi. So if you get a brand new Aavegotchi today, right? If Ian has a new Aavegotchi today, it starts out with a kinship score of 50 in the metadata. And you go to your dashboard and you can see it there. And then if you just go away for a full day and don't check on it for 24 hours, you'll come back, that score will say 49.
Ooh.
And if you do it again, it'll be 48. So 24 hours of neglect is a -1, but you can also pet it every 12 hours, once every 12 hours. So you can technically miss a day and then make it up and even score one more. So if you pet it twice a day, you'll be at 52 by the end of your first 24 hours. And this is your proof of attention to your Aavegotchi. And it's a really cute interface. It goes from, if you let it slide, it even has like not just the number, but it has a word. It'll be like your Aavegotchi's resentful. Its facial expression changes.
A bit
It's
annoying
pretty.
about things like, right? Like when your dog is kind of looking at you with sad eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is a crypto pet in that sense. It's like, it's looking at you like, dude, are we hanging out? Are we cool?
But that's awesome. That's kind of, we're laughing and joking about it, but that's what keeps people coming back, right? It's that level of interaction, that reality sort of feel. That's why people come back to it. If it was just a click and no reaction, it'd be super boring, right? So I think it's really cool, man. Like
Yep.
it makes a lot of sense there with that kinship score. That's nice. It's a nice metric to have, and it's one of the
And there's no ceiling on it. So now after a year, they've been alive since March 2020. So after a year, some of these Aavegotchis, there's a leaderboard for the kinship score. And if some of these people have been petting relentlessly. They have amazing
The dreaded Discord technical issues have come back to get us. Jesse, if you can hear me, we can't hear you, my friend. You're still on stage.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Check 1, 2.
yeah, we can hear you now. You cut out pretty much at the beginning of talking about the DAO, and that you wanted to launch with the DAO. So just kick off from there, man.
Okay, yeah, just it's a very active DAO and it's all premised on the GHST token. So the GHST is your voting right, voting power. It's also your cryptocurrency. Like in our kind of closed ecosystem, we have our own marketplace, our own staking, and all of that makes use of the GHST token.
Okay, cool. And then, so if we step outside of the kind of DeFi part of it, so we've got staking and the DAO, and then let's jump into the wearables. So these are like clothes for your Aavegotchi, right?
Yeah, so they're 1155 NFTs, one of the two major standards, and it's really cool. We leverage some very special smart contracts so that you are able to hardwire these wearables to your Aavegotchi. And with an on-chain transaction, you can equip them or you can unequip them. And so literally you're like packaging NFTs together and stacking them into one kind of mega NFT. And they all have different rarity levels. They boost your rarity score, which is another leaderboard we have. So you want to get you can really spend some time in our wiki and look at all the trait modifiers, and you can really optimize your Aavegotchi to climb some leaderboards in different rarity categories. So it's pretty cool.
Very cool. So it's kind of thinking, I think I've kind of said this before, but like with these sort of things like wearables, they are DeFi tools basically, and I think it's quite important that people think of them as such as well, right? They require deep level research. It's not just a t-shirt, for example. It can actually give you some benefit there. So jumping into the mini games, there's mini games to play, right, with your Aavegotchi. Can you just talk about some of them?
Yeah, so we think of Avigachi as you can think of it as a open source protocol, and so anyone can build a mini game, an analytics tool, anything they want really around these Avigachi smart contracts. And so we've seen the community. I think it's partially because we, like I said, are running towards blockchain. We attract a certain community a certain type of community member.
Yeah.
And so there's like a lot of very big brain Solidity devs and also like just people that are just exploring smart contracts for the first time and they want to build their first kind of analytics tools. They're all coming in and building on top of Aavegotchi. So if you go to the website, you'll see a big button that says tools. Everything there is created by community members, and there's some powerful tools there. There's even an Aavegotchi auto petting service, Gotchi Care. It'll even take care of your Gotchi for you.
Hey, that's cheating, man.
I know, but it's all on chain. We can't stop them, so we got to join the band.
I like it. So, okay, so to create these kind of mini games around Gotchi, so we've seen other projects and they've opened up their kind of universe for third-party development, like Axi's Builder program, NFT Worlds, and also with the World Wide Web incorporating other NFT collections. What's your sort of outlook on going sort of meta? Like, what's and how's it going to work? Like, will it be open source? Will you let people, how have you got any ideas around that and the interoperability of it as well? For those of you that tune in,
Check.
yeah, you're in. What is it? Your internet, Jesse, or is something odd happening on the platform?
I've got blue skies, and I don't know what's going on with the internet. I'm very sorry.
No, let's keep rolling, man. Let's keep going. So yeah, I was kind of talking about like Axie doing their builder program and things like that, and then you started to answer about is there any plans? What are the plans to go meta?
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think right now everyone's incentivized to be in their own silos for the most part, and that's okay. That's where the maturity of the market is right now. So we're focused on building out our metaverse, our Gotchiverse, and building it so that when the time's right, we can have that interoperability. It's very important to be ready for that next phase.
Nice. Slow and steady wins the race, of course. All right, cool. Jesse, thank you. That's outlined the kind of basic premise of what's going on with Aavegotchi, and then just some other basic questions just to get everyone in on those bits. What blockchain does Aavegotchi run on?
Right, we run on Polygon.
Okay, so you've got cheap fees and fast transactions, right?
Yep, it's been beautiful.
Very nice, very nice. So, in terms of like barriers to entry to Aavegotchi, if, for example, I wanted to jump in today, what's it going to cost me to get involved? And then the second part of that question is there a system of like, can I rent a Gotchi to get started with? Can I have a go with someone else's? How does that work?
Yeah, so up until a few weeks ago, I would have said the floor price of the Avigachi maybe is around $1,500 worth of GHST,
Hmm.
and it's going up every day. Good luck. But luckily now we have Gotchi lending contracts deployed. And so this is where you can go in and you can rent an Avigachi oftentimes for no upfront cost and hop into the Gotchiverse and start playing to earn right away.
Nice.
So we have a ton of scholars that are onboarding. The growth has been exponential over the last 3 weeks since we launched the super alpha version of the game. And yeah, that was really the game launched right alongside our lending contracts. So it's a P2P marketplace. Imagine Uber, but instead of going for booking a car ride, you're booking a duration to go out with an Aavegotchi and do what you want with the Gotchi in the game.
Awesome.
So it's pretty, yeah, it's been fantastic. And it's just you don't even need Ghost for that. All you need is a little bit of Matic for the gas to execute the transaction.
Nice. Okay, cool. So it's very easy for people to jump in and have a go. That's an excellent thing. I'm just gonna throw a question at you from the audience, Jesse. We've got a question from a guy called Checkpoint. So every day I see new games based on NFTs. How do you intend to stand out from the others in such a growing market?
Yeah, it's very noisy out there. I think we're already very fortunate in some of the early decisions we made that Aavegotchi really is quite unique in our approach and what we've already accomplished. So the game itself is like the Gotchiverse. If we talk about just how that's going to stand out, from the very beginning, we said we can't make a game that looks and feels like every other game that's ever existed. This is Web3. This is Web3 gaming. We have to, from the aesthetic side, from the gameplay features, from every angle, this has to look and feel like something that you've never interacted with before. And so that's why it really looks at one part, it looks like an old school game.
Mhm.
It also looks like it's been like covered in psychedelic goodness. So it's like it's a very unique game, and the presentation reflects the unique game design features that we're trying to put on the backside. I often joke it's like it's its own genre. This we should have our own crypto gaming genre where it's not just that it's a normal RPG with a few NFT rewards sprinkled on top. That would be very boring to me. So.
Yeah, okay, cool. That's a good answer. I hope that's answered your question. Thank you for that. All right, Jesse, let's jump into this Gotchiverse then, because it's something fairly new and it's where the real value is added for the users, I kind of think as well. So, and it's where your main attention lies. Am I right in that?
Oh yeah. We're burning the midnight oil to build out the Gotchiverse.
Oh God, I need to borrow some oil. I've got plenty over here. So let's talk a little bit about. Can you share a bit about the Gotchiverse? What is the Gotchiverse and who is it for? Is it for everyone, or is it, you mentioned earlier that you have a particular type of user. So who is it for, and what is it?
Yeah, I would say the Gotchiverse is for everybody that wants to onboard to crypto. We see it as a place for crypto enthusiasts to gather and have a social experience while also exploring other game modes simultaneously. So basically, there's three main gameplay modes. You can just farm all day and do kind of Clash of Clans, Bomb Beach style, where you're building out your own items, equipping them to your land, and farming tokens from your land. Just hanging out on your parcel all day,
Yeah.
and upgrading. Then there's this other part that's more like just really the most simple one. It's like Pac-Man. This is live right now, where you literally hop in and it's like a big Easter egg hunt. You're running around looking for Alchemica tokens, that's what we call them, spawning in the game. And your presence in the game, it's really just a big King of the Hill race. And the third version gameplay mode is called channeling, where we have a bit of a kind of mystical element to the Gotchiverse. So you actually go to what's called the altar on your parcel, and if you have an altar, you can pray to your altar or do a ritual, and it will rain down Alchemica tokens on you. This is like your daily UBI.
Nice.
And if you're this all comes back to the kinship score. If your Aavegotchi that you're playing with at that moment has a good kinship score, you get a multiplier effect. So a neglected Aavegotchi is not going to have a good rain dance, but a happy Aavegotchi is going to make it rain.
Nice, man. It's all so well thought out, Jesse. Anyone would think you'd planned this. It's awesome. Okay, cool. It's funny that you mentioned Pac-Man there. I was talking to one of my colleagues earlier, and he actually has put this question in here. So, it's got purely based on the visuals of the Gotchiverse. Are your designers, by any chance, a fan of Pac-Man Championship Edition? I'm guessing the answer is yes.
I am not aware. It's not on my radar. I'd have to check. But
Oh, okay.
we have some amazing designers. Zbot is a one of the OG crypto artists, specifically in pixel art, in the NFT space, and he created the original Aavegotchi character, the entire aesthetic actually. And then more recently, we've grown the team out so much, and we've got some awesome designers that come from former Capcom, 20, 25-year veterans in the industry.
Wow.
So it's, yeah, we're taking it very seriously, and I'm sure some of them, I mean, did Capcom build Pac-Man stuff? I don't think so. But there's, I'm sure they're all fans in some way.
Yeah, if they're gaming veterans, then I think anyone who calls himself a gaming veteran has probably played Pac-Man, right? So yeah, you can't
Yeah.
help but be influenced by these things. I find it's timeless design, just improved upon. It's
Yes.
very cool. So, oh, we've got a question from the audience. Let me bring this person on stage. Golf Wars. 1 second.
Okay.
Hello, sir. Are you there? Ooh. Sometimes he has microphone issues. Golf Wars. Golf Wars, if you can
Yeah.
hear me and you're having a microphone issue, send your question into the chat and I'll make sure we ask that for you, okay? All right, cool. Let's carry on with the Gotchiverse. So there's a lot of features of the Gotchiverse, Jesse. Can you tell us a bit about the least understood features? So I think people get the premise. Perhaps like there's many things that people are not getting. Could you talk about some of those?
Yeah, I think we currently are still so early where we're just setting up kind of a framework. The metaverse and the Gotchiverse in particular is it's just a framework. And then really the real value comes when the community is able to generate their own content and contribute their own art and designs. You see this with crypto voxels, one of my favorite virtual worlds right now, where they do a great job of creating a place where you can easily build on your parcel a welcoming place to host your art gallery, show off your NFTs. We want to do something like that, but from we're not like a voxel art Minecraft style. We're like a top-down Legend of Zelda style. So it's a little bit different presentation, but we have a really cool mix of both pixel art, 3D art, and really everything in between inside the Gotchiverse. So what people aren't seeing yet is that they're not realizing the Gotchiverse is huge and it's a big coloring book that's waiting to be colored in by the community. That's how I think of it.
Mm.
So there's going to be so much, like when you see it now, if your listeners go there now, they may say, oh, it looks kind of barren. It's like a vaporwave grid, looks kind of like a desert, a very colorful psychedelic one, but a desert nonetheless. And the answer to that is yes, it's by design. It's not going to be like that forever. We're prepping ways for you to come in and build on top of it and also create your own artwork and user generated content.
Nice. Okay, so it's definitely a work in progress, but an amazing start so far. I just want to go back, Jesse, a little bit because we were talking about the golden altar there and the rain dance and other things, and piqued my interest a little bit because you've got different tokens that players collect, right? You've got FUD, FOMO, Alpha, Heck, is it? And that's what's used to create the altar, or you can buy a golden tile if I'm not mistaken. Is there what's the kind of future for these tokens, or is that their purpose? Will they remain as such?
Right. So there's four tokens collectively known as Alchemica, Gachus Alchemica, and yeah, FUD, FOMO, Alpha, and Keck. So always a nod to crypto culture, right?
Uh-huh.
And They really are just the raw elements of the Gotchiverse, and we have this awesome crafting table where you're going to be crafting more and more NFTs. So you don't just mint an NFT, you actually craft the NFT, and that means crafting means getting the right recipe, the right combination of the four tokens, but it also means a certain time input, right? So most of these NFTs have 9 levels, and you can upgrade them by spending more alchemica and more time. And so it's if you've ever played Clash of Clans, that's obviously I keep mentioning that one. It's a great reference point for what is at least 1/3 of the gameplay mode is this kind of crafting and upgrading journey. And so the Alchemica tokens are critical for all the user generated content as well will be crafted into the world.
Got it. Okay, cool. They have their purpose. All right.
Yeah.
There's another
And
thing. Go on, sorry, Jesse, go on.
I just had thought maybe when you think of the four, they're not all exactly the same, right? They have to have their own properties. Like alpha is more going to be the primary ingredient for social builds versus farming builds, that kind of thing. So there's there's a lot of balancing. We got a big recipe cookbook, and then they're also different in rarity. So it's just like real life. FUD is the most common. FUD is everywhere, but FOMO, there's a lot of that too. The alpha, pretty rare. We always seek the alpha, and then we're at the end of the day, all us humans, we just want the kek. So the kek is the rarest of them all. So that's the idea behind those four tokens, rarities.
It's very cool, man. It's very cool. All right, cool. So okay, so we've got, ever since, I'm going to say it, ever since Facebook rebranded to Meta, there was a big hype bubble around metaverse projects and other things. Now, we've kind of seen that come and go. I think Meta kind of created that bubble, as it were, in a sense of PR, perhaps only. How is the Gotchiverse different from other metaverse plays? I mean, we've kind of outlined it already, but how would you sum that up? Why is it different, and why will it be different moving forward as well?
Yeah, I guess I could start with one of the other most unknown, or least understood parts of the Gotchiverse. We
Go
have
on.
we have invested an immense amount of effort into the back end, the part that nobody sees, and it's a built from scratch back end that allows us to have literally thousands, thousands, maybe tens of thousands of players playing on the same instance inside the Gotchiverse. And what I mean by that, a lot of games right now that are play to earn are usually turn-based, like card games. Then you have Metaverse plays, you mentioned World Wide Web or Decentraland, all very strong in their own right. But one of the shortcomings we identified with with them is that when we go in those worlds, there's a very low limit to the amount of players that can be on the same instance. So think of it like servers, basically. It really is what it is. You're on server 1, I'm on server 5. We meet at the north gate, and we don't see each other, and yet we're both standing in the same location. It totally breaks the illusion of being in a Ready Player One type of metaverse, and it really makes it hard to socialize on a mass scale. So we invested really from day one in seeking out the right hires and the right talent to be able to actually build out something closer to like EVE Online. There's very few games out there that can achieve this, and they all have their own custom solutions. EVE is one of those. They support tens of thousands of players playing in that MMORPG simultaneously. We are also able to do that with the Gotchiverse, and it's extremely powerful. So instead of just a few hundred people, when I say there's 4,000 players running around the Gotchiverse as we speak, they really are all together. Every single one of them are on the same instance. And this will, as more features come online, and more, whether it's social or battle or melee, it's going to be really, really we'll more and more realize this was the right decision to invest early in this technology.
Couldn't agree with you anymore there, Jesse. There's one platform that I've kind of played with called Somnium Space, which is, if you're fully VR'd in and running all the kit, you are in the same instance. And it's pretty amazing, for that. And I think people have kind of missed that, perhaps, that they assume that it's all happening on the same platform, as it were, but in most it isn't. So yeah, it's definitely something that's probably misunderstood about Gotchiverse for sure. And as you say, I think that's really going to add some serious value as we go down the line a bit further, where Yeah, like it has to be in the same instance. Like you say, if you arranging to meet somebody and they're not there, then it sucks, right? What the it's not what it's intended for, and it's not what people will expect either. So that's a great play, I think, doing it early doors. Any anything else, Jesse, that you think, why would I mean there's the obvious DeFi elements of this as well, in that it's a game, but it has so much more to it. Um do you think that will really set things apart for the Gotchiverse in the future?
Yeah, one of the things I think is a great starting point for people to check out the Gotchiverse is to go to the original light paper. Just Google like Gotchiverse light paper, it comes right up, or go to our wiki. And you'll notice right off the bat, it's the only light paper in crypto you'll probably see that literally starts with a poem in ancient. And
Nice.
so there's this whole proper lore element to the Gotchiverse that we're feeding to the DAO, but we're also receiving from the DAO. It's like a give and take, and this whole canon of backstory is growing around the game as we ship updates every other week. So
Nice.
it's super cool in that sense. And so that was another decision early on. We're like, we love crypto voxels. I love playing in Decentraland, but there's no lore element. And so we want to be an open metaverse where you could do anything and you're not necessarily even a gamer. You could host your art gallery, do that kind of thing. But then it should also have, a proper game, enough effort put in to create a real universe here. And so that's what we're trying to achieve here is a universe that can expand and lead to side quests and all sorts of fascinating backstory.
Yeah, definitely. And as you've said a couple of times now, I think it's very important to have that in mind from the beginning rather than go back and try and sort of retrofit these features, which we see some projects doing, and it only causes headaches generally. All right, I've got.
Literally
Sorry, Jesse, go on.
right at the top of the light paper. It's a lot. We started it right.
We'll put a link to
So
that into the general DappRadar chat at the end of this. So if the listeners want to check it out, it'll be right there for them as well. All right, I've got the question from Golf Wars. Thank you, Golf Wars. I know you do have problems with your microphone sometimes. With time, the NFT word is becoming more competitive with many new innovations, and it keeps developing. To keep developing, it must stand still. What are the major challenges and future plans of the Aavegotchi? I think, yeah, you don't want to stand still. You need to keep moving. The industry is moving at lightning pace. So, what are the major challenges do you see for Aavegotchi in the coming future?
I think one thing is that's the right mindset. So we're literally famous for like shipping, right? That's kind of our inside joke, like ship, ship, ship. Pictures of ships on our walls, the whole deal. So literally, like we just finished up the 30-day play drop for this initial launch. That's finishing this week. Still a chance to get in there. And then we're switching gears, doing the social release for 2 weeks, where we focus on in-game chat and social events, and kind of an experimental 2-week window where we can look at different ways of distributing Alchemica in these kind of limited release, very limited scope environments. And then we'll have the land release. So really our main focus is just executing this roadmap for the rest of the year. And that is to get us up to a full-fledged MMORPG slash metaverse slash whatever you want to call it. So this new genre. Yeah.
Nice, nice. We actually had a second part to the question, but you've touched on it there, and I think it's an interesting part. He's talking about what features will Gotchiverse bring in for interaction, and communication. You did touch on that there, so I think you've answered that really well. Like it's in the pipe and it's coming, and it's kind of something you guys are working on. So thank you.
Yeah, May 2nd, we'll launch the first in-game chat, and it's the MVP. So we'll start with 2 chat boxes. If you're an old school crypto trader, you might remember Poloniex and some of the old exchanges had a troll box. You could anybody could just troll and send whatever they want in real time. We're going to have a kind of game-wide global chat that is kind of like a troll box. But then you'll have 2 tabs. You can switch over. You see inside the Citadel, which is the main gameplay area right now, we're like all inside the city walls. Inside there, we've broken up the map into multiple districts. And this is a whole nother cool thing. Like each district is basically a sub-DAO that can do its own voting, and it's your neighborhood. You get to design and work with your neighbors on certain parts of the build. And so they need to communicate. So there's going to be district specific chat as well. So when your Gotchi crosses from District 25 to District 24, this chat box just updates in real time, and now you're talking to your neighbors in D24.
Wow.
So it's going to be really, really fun. We'll start with some district chats, some global chat, but there's so many other ways we can, build on top of that, including crafting, unique installations to put on your parcels. One on my wish list that isn't right around the corner, but would be really cool is some sort of like broadcast towers. Imagine putting a broadcast tower on your parcel that replicates like AM, FM radio in real life, the frequencies. And the more you upgrade the tower, the wider your broadcast range is.
Yeah.
So we can actually add a diameter, and people could tune into your station, right? So you
love this idea, Jesse. I love this idea, and I don't want to steal it, but I've also thought about something in the same side of things. I think we're both a bit musical, aren't we? And it just seems a very cool idea, though, right? Like being the official radio station of the Gotchiverse. Like, I'd love to do that. It would be amazing.
There's a lot of people that would want to DJ there, and so it would be really cool.
Yeah, it's something that I'm really into, that side of things. We did our launch event for our radar token in a Metaverse platform, and we had a DJ there and everything, and it was really crazy, but super cool, like very cool. The only one thing I thought was, we had a singer as well, and I kept thinking about the fact that this guy who was singing was on his own somewhere in his apartment, singing his lungs out, but it's kind of it must be kind of strange and like DJing to an empty room. I mean, if you're most DJs have done that in their careers, but I don't know if you'd want to make it a weekly habit. Yeah, it's very
a new way.
I really like that side of things. It's an interesting thing. All right, Jesse, we're getting towards the end, so I want to just jump into how it's affecting Aavegotchi, like the updates that you've rolled out recently, the Gotchiverse from a numbers perspective. So before we go there, are you looking at the typical behavior from players? What are they actually doing inside the Gotchiverse, and what are you learning from that?
Yeah, we are always watching analytics. We're always watching DappRadar, and the numbers there are just super impressive. We cracked top 5 Matic smart contracts as soon as the Gotchiverse launched 3 weeks ago. And then we cracked top 20 of all blockchains gaming as well. So it's great because we're still super early. It's a very primitive game right now. It's literally just basically we view it as a great way to stress test what we're building and distribute tokens to the earliest people willing to come in and stress test. So nice. so early, and yet the numbers are dramatic. Yeah. So we're super happy with the trend.
Cool. And you mentioned a moment ago about a land sale there as well that's coming in the future. Is there any kind of requirements you could talk about that people may be able to get ready for that land sale? If they were sitting on the fence perhaps with Aavegotchi, maybe this is the moment for them to get in if there's more of an opportunity there. Is that something that might happen, or is it something you want to keep under your hat for now?
Yeah, so we've had 2 rounds of land distribution over the last 6 months. There were 2 distribution events, and everything we do in Avigachi when it comes to new wearables, new land, we always break it into 2 parts. There's a sale in the form of an auction, a really cool bid to earn auction where it's a whole nother thing, but you literally get paid to lose. Like if you outbid me, I get a % of what you outbid me by. It's really cool.
Talk about this. I've not heard of it.
Yeah, it's called a GBM auction. We partnered with them. It's their proprietary smart contracts, and they are an amazing team with an amazing idea of how to make auctions a lot more fun and get real-time price discovery. So yeah, we do a GBM auction where literally you come in, it's a 3-day window to do your bids. So on day 1, I bid 100 ghost tokens for this parcel. You come in at 120. I committed my capital in real time to the smart contract. And because it's on Matic, it only costs less than a penny to return it to me, so it's fine. So I get my refund plus a cut of what you just committed into the smart contract. And the only, who does that come from really is the auction house, whoever's hosting, basically our team. We're happy to share that % with the users to come in and jump into the auction. So it's a win-win-win. You either walk away with the NFT or you got paid to lose. it's a fascinating, very popular thing in our community. We love GBM auctions.
Very cool. Fascinating is the word I would use. Definitely. It's and it works, right? I'm guessing it's working for you.
Yes, and if we do, we'll do a third. There was always a kind of trilogy to kick off the land inside the Citadel. We've done two. The third one does not have a date yet. The DAO, the Avigachi DAO, is on fire in the forums, figuring out what would be the best date for it. It's probably looking like it might be in June. And so keep your eyes peeled. There could be a big GBM bid to earn auction. And then, so that's 80% is distributed through the auction, and 20% is distributed to long-term ghost stakers. So if you've been staking and earning your loyalty points, there's a good chance with those drop tickets that we're giving away today, you can use those drop tickets. Each one represents one chance to win anything in any auction. So
Nice.
Yep, it's gonna be good.
Speaking of those drop tickets, I've just had another question. There's people out there who want to get their hands on those for sure. Are you planning? This question comes from D. Arvis. Are you planning to moderate content created by the community, and how strict, if so? Aside of NSFW, which is not safe for work, do you have any guidelines for creators to keep content law friendly?
There's going to be, there's no hard answer on that yet. There's a couple approaches, and I think we're going to use multiple approaches. So there's the wearables. We want to have a pixel crafter, a little simple UI where the templates are set, and you as a user can either qualify or anyone can go in and mint their own wearables. And we can hook this up with royalties in our marketplace, and it's quite powerful. The problem with that is there's Aavegotchis are completely on-chain, so every wearable has to be uploaded to the smart contract, and it's not just from one front view like most PFPs. I think we're the only ones who've ever done this. We actually uploaded the front view, the left view, the right view, and the back view of each wearable.
Nice, yeah.
Each Aavegotchi. Yeah, so it's all on chain, and it's from every angle. So you have to really make 4 designs to get your one, t-shirt made or something.
You making people work for it, right? Like I really like this though that I'm hearing. This is not the quick in, quick out cash grab setup. Like I'm loving to hear all of this, Jesse. It's really good.
The extra effort, yeah. So and then that's kind of that's like a guided, I would say, curated path. And the DAO we have a lot of DAO committees or task forces that handle certain parts of the economy. So we could easily, I would expect to see maybe a task force with a rotating committee that kind of like just make sure there's no not safe for work, and like, make sure maybe a bunch of submissions come in, and then the most popular ones make the cut and get issued as either installations for your parcel or the wearables we talked about. There's like so many different types of user-generated content. Yep. The last thing I'd say is I really do want to get to a point where we have a very open source, just art, like it doesn't have to be bound to in-game utility. Aavegotchis have super mimetic power, and it would be really cool to just get the community to be able to mint their own Aavegotchi memes and anything else they like to do.
Definitely.
A la what you see with like fake rares and some of those really open source.
Very cool, very cool. Well, it's about giving people opportunity, but also being mindful of bad actors, I guess, isn't it, as well? I've got another question here, and this one's really interesting because this person is actually inside the Gotchiverse right now. So they're saying, I've gone into the Gotchiverse right now. It's really interesting, but I'm really interested in valuing the land in the Gotchiverse based on social value, token value, and location. I'd really appreciate if you throw more light on the location values, because it's something I can't really get my head around. That's something you can speak on, Jesse.
Sure. It really, there's a couple approaches. It really depends what you want to do with your land. So some people are builders and they're waiting for our SDK, where you can literally take a smart contract, program it, and hook it up to an NPC character and install it on your parcel. And like literally you will be talking to a character in the game, and it's actually a smart contract. You could do like theoretically, make deposits on Aave right on your parcel, or you could host your own DApp. If you're interested in doing that kind of thing, you probably want a high traffic area next to a major road. One cool fact, the Aavegotchis move double speed on the roads. So you want to hop on the road, you can really cruise. And then the other way, though, is if you're not a builder and you're looking to just do quiet, humble life farming, you might want to find a place off in the countryside, so to speak,
Yeah.
a little more rural, because then nobody's going to bug you when you do your channeling and your farming. One of the aspects of the channeling is called spillover. So you don't get to keep everything that rains down from whatever on high. When those alchemica come down, a certain percent goes directly into your wallet, but the other tokens literally spill in a pretty large diameter around your area. So you're literally feeding your community as well.
This
So
is cool.
you get yeah. So it's a communal thing, and if you don't want to share, then you probably want to get a little parcel out far away from everybody.
Yeah. It depends what your mentality is, right? Like, but just
Yes.
listening to the answer, Jesse, and like we've spoken about these things before on other shows, but it's like the real world, like what you're saying. If you wanted some peace and quiet and you don't want to be disturbed, then you need to head out into the countryside. If you want a high footfall area because you're trying to curate a gallery, for example, I guess the
Yeah.
moral of the story is to keep in mind what you would do in the real world and apply it in the
Yeah.
virtual space, right?
Pretty much. Yeah. At the end of the day, it sounds complex, and then you're like, actually, it's just like real life.
Yeah. Sorry, man. Like it's because I always think, obviously in the virtual world, the land values will be based on what's local. Like if you've got services, if there's famous people living next to you, if there's parties popping off every weekend at the Board 8 property, like, these things will play a role. And I think it's all kind of, like, forgive me, but to use the word obvious, but because it's obvious in the real world, I kind of think, well, it's not going to be that much different in the virtual world, is it? So,
Yeah. Right.
no, it's a good answer, man. Good answer. All right, dude. We've got sorry, go on, Jesse.
Oh, as just add like so for some context, there's three sizes of parcels in the virtual world. So we do have a limited amount of sizes. You got your small humbles; those are very small. You can add maybe a half dozen installations on top of it, some farm equipment, and one altar, and you're pretty much good to go.
Okay.
Then you have the reasonably sized ones, and then you have the spacious, and those are like massive. And you could really, it really depends on what you want to do. And keep in mind, all of them have some degree of alchemica under the ground. And when you get the parcel, as of today, nobody knows how much is under each parcel. All you know is the size of your parcel, which does have kind of a baseline amount. But once you get that parcel, we engage Chainlink's random number generator, and you will basically quote unquote survey your property. And it's like drilling down to see if you have oil or not.
Yeah.
This will happen probably in the next week. Next month. We'll have an update where you'll start being able to survey and start installing farming equipment.
Oh.
So that's going to be really exciting. And like I say, all parcels will have something, but it's kind of on a bell curve of you're either really lucky, you're kind of average, or you're a little bit less than lucky.
That's
So
also super cool because, for example, if you were coming to sell the parcel, you've got more data to add on top of it. Like you've got resource data basically that other virtual world platforms are not giving you. It's all a bit of a random, if you get some, you get some. If you don't, gutted. But I like the idea of a survey. That's really cool. Will that be a paid thing that you'd have to do, Jesse, or is that just going to be part of the core service?
that'll be that'll be included with your altar. So you can build every parcel kind of needs one altar. It's like the heartbeat of your parcel. So you can do a level 1 altar for free. Like it's a free NFT. And then that will have the utility. You do your surveying from your altar. You walk up to your altar. It says, what do you want to do today? You can either survey your parcel, which is a one-time thing, or you can do your channeling. So we'll add that utility in about a month.
Got it. All right, cool. All right, Jesse, we're coming to the end. I've got a couple more questions. If you've got time, I'm happy to hang around for a few minutes. Are you free?
Yeah, I'm free.
One more question, which is quite a good one, actually. Does Aavegotchi have a pet breeding feature?
Oh, this is a fun one to end on. So a little dumb. We get this question a lot, and crypto kitties, crypto pets. You think of breeding, right? That was like the big innovation. So we took a little contrarian view. We wanted it to be a more deflationary type of NFT, Aavegotchis.
Mhm.
So they actually don't have breeding. They have the opposite of that. They have sacrificing.
Ah,
So you can actually, if you want, you can sacrifice and burn your Aavegotchi NFT. And the only reason you're like, why would you do that? Is one thing we didn't touch on today is if you join social events, if you vote in the DAO, every time you vote, you get airdropped experience points to your Aavegotchi. So we look at the wallet that voted, and XP drops, and then your Aavegotchi literally levels up, like a Pokemon.
Right.
And so if you want, let's say you have a stable of Aavegotchis, you got a bunch of them, and one of them is like a floor Gotchi. He's not very rare. There's not much to it, but it's accruing all this XP, and you're trying to climb the XP leaderboard, to get a big payout on the next rarity farming round. There's an incentive there to, you when you sacrifice your Aavegotchi, you get to choose where to do an essence transfer and transfer that XP to another Aavegotchi. So you can send it to your favorite Aavegotchi and basically double its XP overnight.
It's cool.
So
it's just a different way of not breeding, but upgrading, I suppose. And no, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So it's not inflationary. The only time more Aavegotchis come into circulation is through a major vote from the DAO. They're ultimately tasked with maintaining supply of Aavegotchis. So to date, there's been 2 issuances of Aavegotchis. The original 10K, we call that Haunt 1. Mm-hmm. And then the summer following, they did Haunt 2, which was a 15K issuance. But when you put it all together, there's been over 1,000 Aavegotchis. I'm quite sure now, over 1,000 Aavegotchis have been sacrificed. So they're burned, they're gone forever. And every time we do a rarity farming round, somebody gets sacrificed. It's sad.
But it's for the greater good, Jesse. Remember that.
Oh, I just saw in the chat here. I was wrong. 2.6% of all issued portals, all issued Aavegotchis have been sacrificed for a total of 653. That's coming from on-chain analytics that one of our community members has certainly built. Okay. There's AavegotchiStats.com and a few others. That's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that's nice, man. That's very nice. All right, cool, man. I'm not going to keep you for much longer, but I want to make sure 2 things. Number one, is there anything that you want to mention that I've not asked you about that you feel is important to get out about Aavegotchi today? The community, for DappRadar, and for your community as well.
Just the message that if you've ever wanted to be a game designer, if your dream job is to make video games, that's quickly become like what Aavegotchi DAO is about. That's why it's one of the most active DAOs in the world. You literally get to, you're not tweaking interest rates like most finance DeFi DAOs. Yeah. You're actually coming up with, exploring and contributing ideas to better gameplay and game design. And the best ideas rise to the top. We've got literal brain surgeons that are, in between surgeries contributing to the DAO, but we've also got people bagging groceries and everything in between. And they all come with great ideas and have a ton of fun hashing out what the best gameplay experience should be. So part of the game is building the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So there's a whole world of opportunity for people out there who want to jump in, contribute. But that's the beauty of Web3, right? That's what we're talking about here. That's why it's so amazing. All right, cool, man. So, and we definitely touched on we definitely touched on things that are coming this year in 2022. But just to kind of skirt over it again, what are the big things that people should be watching out for in 2022 on the roadmap for the Gotchiverse and for Aavegotchi this year?
So right now, everything happening is inside just a couple of districts in the Gotchiverse. It already feels quite large, but what people should be aware of is it's going to grow to fill the majority or the entirety of what we call the Citadel. This is the safe to play zone. There's no Gotchi on Gotchi violence. Then the next issuance by this summer will be dropping the big gate. You'll cross the moat and go out into the wild, what we call the grid. And this has, we have a beautiful map I can drop in the chat here in a minute, and it's the rest of this sprawling Gotchiverse. And out there, it's rich in Alchemica tokens, much more plentiful, but the trade-off is it's dangerous. Yeah. And so we'll have a new play-to-earn, free-to-play token NFT called a Liquidator. These are cute little robots, and they're the arch nemesis of the Aavegotchi. And so now we're getting into the lore a bit, but these guys are going to be airdropped to different communities, different partners. Literally, it's like an uncapped NFT. and each one represents one chance to hop in and compete for Alchemica on the wild grid. And so that's where we get melee battle, ranged attacks, and a kind of tug of war between the Gotchis and this team known as the Liquidators. And it's going to be super, super cool. So that's what's coming up. And so what you see now is just the kernel of, we're literally just stress testing that important back end we talked about.
Amazing. That sounds super cool. And did you say there that those little robots, they will be airdropped to other communities? So it will be, is that what you meant? Sorry, with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's an uncapped supply. I think of it more like a token faucet. We can just set an inflation schedule that is appropriate for however many players are playing live at any given time. And so what we'd love to do is use these as a great tool for adoption. Like we can mega adopt anybody with it's literally an invitation to come in and play for free. So we come to DappRadar and we say, here's 1,000 liquidators this week for your community. Each NFT is a one-time use entry ticket to the Gotchiverse. So when you enter the game, you do a transaction that burns that liquidator. You get to play. You play to earn, gather up as much Alchemica as you can, fight the Avagachis, get back to the save point, and now you got more Alchemica. Or an Avigachi takes you out, but at least you had a free chance to play. So
you got to check it out. And as you say, that's user acquisition done at its best. I would say actually that's very cool. All right, Jesse. I'll let you go, man. I could probably stay here all day and keep talking to you, but I am wary that we all have things to do. So, number one, I just really want to thank you for your time today. I know you're a busy guy, and I also want to thank you for just delivering all the information you have today really well, really nicely, articulated all the answers amazingly well. I really hope everyone in the audience understood everything and has learned something today about Aavegotchi and the Gotchiverse. Final thing, Jesse. Where can people best connect with you? Is it Twitter? Is it Discord? Is it Telegram? Where's your preferential place of comms?
Sure. I live in the Discord for sure. So come on over, Avigachi.com or discord.gg/Avigachi. Or our Twitter is a wonderful one to follow for the alpha. And the last one I'd say is we do have blog.aavegotchi.com. And blog.aavegotchi is full of guides, including video guides, written guides, and whatever the latest, all the latest blog posts will go there first. So it's a great place to kind of bookmark and keep an eye on.
And there's user guides there as well for new players, people. So don't worry if you're going to jump in. There's plenty of content to help you along the way, for sure. And you've also got a wiki, haven't you? You've got your official wiki page, right?
Yeah, the wiki's incredible. Community maintained and absolutely enjoyed it. It's got to be the most fun wiki I've ever seen. Cool. I'm a bit biased.
No, it's really cool. I was having a hunt around on there earlier, so that's a good resource as well. So another one to keep an eye on. All right, cool. Thank you so much, Jesse. Thank you, audience, for listening. Hope you learned something, and thank you for your questions. We will deal with the raffle tickets immediately after this. Cornelia will send those out to the people who ask questions. Again, thank you for those. Jesse, thank you again to you. I wish you the best of luck going forward in 2022 with the project, and I hope we get to speak again. And yeah, when the gate drops down, I think we should have another conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Whereas, man, have a great day and take care. And to everyone out there in the audience, thanks for listening. And tomorrow over here on Discord again, we've got the Dapp Market Mover session with Pedro and Modesta. And they're going to be going over the Q1 gaming report to kind of outline what's been happening, any big moves, and what we should be expecting in Q2 and Q3. So if you're into your gaming or you just want to know more about blockchain gaming, tune in for that and you'll get everything you need there. So thank you from me. Thank you again, Jesse. And I'll catch you all next week.